Today's podcast is brought to you by Clara's Closet and Clutter. Got a closet full of clutter? Call Clara's Closet and Clutter. You'll thank yourself later.
Welcome to the Fuck You Fat Guys podcast, episode 4. To recap the podcast so far, we have had wonderful interviews with Gary F. and Bob U., as well as with family members Doris and Dee, Gary's mother and sister, respectively. What a rousing time we've had thus far. I am very excited about today's episode. Today, we have Anne, Gary's ex-wife and the mother of his son, calling in. I think we will find some surprising insights into Gary's psyche. How wonderful it is for me to be able to conduct these interviews. I need to slow my roll a bit. I'm getting out of control. Okay, I have a few tantalizing phone messages from the FU Fat Guys podcast hotline this week. That number is 818-641-5290.
Zero.
I do appreciate the input from our audience. I received 2 messages from Dee, Gary F's sister. D-Real, will you play them in succession, please?
Aye.
They came and took my fucking kids because of your goddamn show. Eat a dick, you piece of shit. You should just suck my brother's already, you filthy piece of shit. Fuck you.
I just love Dee's exuberance. We also received another call from our California listener, Cal E. D-Real, if you would.
Aye.
Anyways, man, it was like, this is Callie Dude again, and Callie Dude, like, said it. I don't know. She keeps asking for it, and she's asking for my name again. Anyway, man, you must have, that was really abrupt, dude. I mean, it was, I don't know, man, because it's like, you must have the same problem, man, the way you talk, you know? It's like, how do you, like, fit all that, like, bigness of heart, expansiveness of mind, you know, into, like, that talk anyway. And I get these messages. It's like, anyway, look, the only beef I have, Wagyu, Wandrew, yeah, that's why, Wandrew, right, because it's like Wagyu, it's like Wandrew Jane, it's like Wagyu. That's what because I got a beef with you. That's right. I got a beef with you, man. The beef is that, like, you live in that state where it's like, okay, but to you can recreate, yeah, recreate, and you can recreate and you can medicalize, right? And because you have that, like, Topaz University degree, like, with psychiatry and all, you can, like, actually, like, prescribe it to them. You know, if you were to prescribe it to them, dude, they could chill out. I know the contours of your podcast would, like, change because they'd be chilled. But, dude, if you had, like, if you can, like, add vlog it, you could totally see them, like, dripping the CBD oils on each other's nipple. I'm just talking at, like, what you would, not even like sexual, you know, totally like brotherly. Or like just affectionate, or things you'd do at a powwow or in like a, I don't know, teepee or like a sweat lodge, yeah. You know, and they just drip the oils, you know, instead of like painting that like negative stuff, you could prescribe that to them. They could like smoke out and then use it, you know, to, well, I don't want to fixate on the nipples, but that's where they like tape it and no, they paint it, right? They ask you, fuck you fat guys, but I change it. It could evolve over the years.
I do not speak fluent Californian, even though I have lived my entire life here in the Golden State. If you know what Cal-E is speaking of, please call the FUFG hotline at 818-641-5290. Or write us at admin@fufgpodcast.com. Okay, we have one more phone message to play for today. It is from Gary F's mother, Doris. I had a very informative repartee with Doris in the last episode of the Fuck You Fat Guys podcast show. If you missed it, I hope you will go back and listen wherever you get your podcast. Okay then, D-Rill?
Hey, I think I just figured out what the W stands for. What the fuck, you stupid moron? I'd rather have guys yelling at me than listen to one more line of your whiny bullshit.
Okay then. I am straining to remain outwardly positive about my medium of choice. I think I will just move on. Okay, we are now at our main event. Here is my interview with Anne, Gary's ex-wife. Okay then, let's get started. D-Rill?
Jesus!
I'd like to welcome Anne to the program today. Hello, Anne.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you today?
I'm fine. I'm doing this begrudgingly. You know that, right?
I do, and I'm ever so thankful for you appearing here today on the Fuck You Fat Guys podcast.
You're welcome.
So, if it's okay, I'd like to jump right into some questions.
The sooner we get this over with, the better.
I understand. So, how long were you and Gary married?
Too long. Way too long. Is that enough for you?
Whatever you want to say is just fine. What was your marriage like?
It was a hot mess. I mean, he totally misrepresented myself. It's not like I'm some fucking idiot or something and you know, would go for the person that he is today. Especially with that shit he does out on the street. It's fucking embarrassing.
How would you describe Gary as a husband?
He's just a loser. I mean, well, I have to say that he did work. That's one good thing. But that's about it. Because then he come home and, you know, not do anything. Just sit in front of the fucking TV and drink beer and scream at football games. You know, but then we had our son, and I do have to say that he loves his son, so there's two in the good category. But other than that, it was a fucking nightmare.
Who left who in the marriage?
Would you think he'd leave me? I mean, I'm like, there isn't anything wrong with me. I left him. Positively, absolutely, 100% left him.
So why did this happen? What brought you to this decision?
Well, albeit he does love our son. Again, I have to give him that. He's a very poor example and a horror of a human being to have represent a father as far as what he does out there in the world. So, at 5, that was enough.
Why did this happen? What caused you to leave him?
What's with the pauses in your voice?
It's how I talk.
Do you have a speech impediment?
I don't think so. It's just my mannerism.
Well, we'll have to go with that. I'll get through this. So, yeah, well, our son got to be 5, and he loves his son, but, I mean, you know, you need to set the example when you're a parent. And this lazy fucking bullshit behavior at home, I don't want our son to grow up like that. You know, he needs to be a well-rounded human being. And you know, the only time he's out of the house is at work because, you know, he comes home and he just doesn't do anything. I have to give him that he works. I'll say that again. But other than that, he doesn't do jack shit, you know?
So, after the divorce, what was your custody arrangement?
Well, I know I keep bringing this up, but he does love his son. And if someone loves their child, I don't have any right to step in between that. But again, the setting the example thing, don't want him around him a ton. So I just went with the standard. I got sole custody. He gets every other weekend. And, you know, we switch off on holidays. And then there's Wednesday night, and I have an activity in the evening. Nobody's business what that is. But he does get his son on Wednesday nights. But again, we don't want them spending tons and tons and tons and tons of time together because he needs to be around men that are well-rounded and, you know, step up in all the kind of ways a decent human being can. So, is that enough for you?
That's wonderful. Thank you. When did you first find out about what Gary and Bob do for a hobby?
Well, I'd say about 2 weeks before I filed for divorce. I just let that roll around in my head for a little bit. It didn't take a really long time to make that final decision. I mean, that was the kicker. I was already having a hard time with the setting the example part.
Does your son know about the FUFGs?
Absolutely not, nor will he ever if my ex-husband ever wants to see his son again.
How do you think your son would react if he knew?
Well, I mean, he's just a kid. He'd probably think it's some big party. And then I'd be having to explain to my friends how he really means fire truck. So, yeah.
Do you know Bob well?
Never met him. Don't want to.
If you had one message to give Gary, what would it be?
Get a life, honey.
Would you be willing to come back at a later date and appear on this podcast?
I don't have any more time for this shit. I'm, in a lot of ways, a single parent. So, work. I take care of my son. Yeah, honey, you know what? I mean, you have time for this. I don't know what planet you live on where you have time for something like this, but you have fun with that. That's great. Good for you. To each his own, but no, never again. Goodbye.
That was very educational.